Ultron deserved better. Sure, he was a crazed robot determined to destroy humanity, but overall, he didn't have a chance to develop into a memorable villain. But the future could be bright for Ultron, as Phase 4 could find a way to bring him back thanks to WandaVision. Interested? Well, let's get right into it. Phase 4 of the MCU promises to expand our favorite superhero franchise in ways we never imagined. Not only will we see new and returning heroes continue to grace the big screen, but it will also mark the first time the MCU will directly link to its television side. Yeah, sorry Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter, Runaways, Cloak and Dagger, and the entirety of Netflix's Defender series. The MCU never made that big of an effort to really include you in anything. But that all changes thanks to Disney+, which will see a whole series of spin-off television shows centered around fan-favorite characters and exciting newcomers. It's a great time to be an MCU fan, as the studio can now actually give television shows to characters who just aren't popular or ready to lead their own movie. Think of it this way. You know Falcon? Yeah, he'd never get his own movie. But a TV series pairing him up with the Winter Soldier? Best idea ever. But an even better idea than that show is one focusing on Scarlet Witch. Since she was properly introduced in Avengers Age of Ultron, Wanda Maximoff has steadily grown into one of the most important and most powerful characters in the MCU. But I haven't seen any attempt to give her a solo movie of her own. But now she has something even better than a movie, her own television show. WandaVision on Disney Plus promises to be a trippy jump through an odd series of realities, and frankly, I couldn't be more excited. It's so great to turn the spotlight to Scarlet Witch because she really deserves it. But there is a big elephant in the room when it comes to her show. It's not just called Wanda, it's WandaVision, and forgive me if my memory is a bit hazy, but the last time I remember seeing Vision was when Wanda had to end his life brutally only to have Thanos bring him back and then end his life a second time by ripping the Mind Stone out of his forehead. It was a rough ending for the character, and one that not a lot of people really acknowledged. Like, they were all sad about Tony and Natasha, but happy they brought everyone back, and no one bothers to mention Vision. But don't get too sad, because we know Vision is coming back for WandaVision. But the biggest question is how. There are numerous explanations about how Vision can make his way back to the land of the living. Well, technically living. He's still a robot, right? I don't know what to call him, and it's awkward because I totally ship him and Wanda. Anyway, there are a lot of ways he can return, but my theory is that it's going to come with a major price, and the biggest consequence could be the return of Ultron. Ultron was hyped up to be a major villain. I mean, his name was in the subtitle of the movie after all. But in the end, there was just too much going on in that movie to give the infamous evil robot his proper due. That all could change with WandaVision. Let's look at some facts. We know that Scarlet Witch will lead directly into Doctor Strange's sequel, The Multiverse of Madness, and the brief snippets of footage we've seen of the show seem to confirm that Scarlet Witch will be bouncing around different universes. That means when her show starts, Scarlet Witch could be using her immense powers of reality manipulation and discovers she can actually jump universes. What's the first thing she would do? Well, she would set out to find a different version of Vision. But I imagine this won't be an easy task. Vision was originally built in the MCU as a body upgrade for Ultron, so there has to be a reality out there where that plan succeeded and Ultron is finally running around in Vision's body. That sounds both terrifying and oddly compelling, because we'd love to see more of evil Ultron doing evil things. It would set up a great storyline for Wanda having to either convert him to the side of good or work to keep the evil Ultron side of this new Vision suppressed. And this isn't without comic precedent. Don't forget that there was a time in the comics where Scarlet Witch ended up shifting reality and giving herself and Vision 2 kids. From the brief snippets of footage, that looks like what is happening in WandaVision, only the setting is a few different realities where everything is like old school sitcoms. There's even a shot of what looks like a pregnant Wanda. All of that seems like the perfect opportunity for Ultron to pop back up again. Guys, I'd bet WandaVision is going to be one heck of a weird show, and I am super excited. But there is another way Wanda could bring Vision back. Vision's whole thing was how he needed the Mind Stone to operate, and now that no longer exists in our main universe thanks to the Avengers. So how will Vision come back? We've already mentioned how Wanda's powers are seriously, well, powerful. She almost took down Thanos by herself after all. So if she doesn't go hopping to different dimensions looking for another Mind Stone, who's to say she doesn't have the ability to bring Vision back, as well as even her brother Quicksilver? But magic always comes with a cost. Say she brings Vision back, but without the Mind Stone, and he finds it harder to fight his Ultron tendencies and the villain slowly takes over Vision's body. No matter what, if we're talking about a possible Ultron return, the most likely method would be using Vision's body in some capacity. It makes the most sense, and it would both highlight the great cost Wanda has to go through to bring her love back and just how dangerous her quest truly is. And it's that danger that could make WandaVision one of the saddest MCU entries we've seen yet. Because although Wanda seems like she would do anything to bring Vision back, the cost might be too hefty in the end. What if there's no way to successfully restore Vision's life without having Ultron return in some way? Ultron is a fundamental part of Vision, and he's such a dangerous force that something like that would be difficult to maintain. We might get a similar situation to what we saw in the beginning of Age of Ultron, where a bit of Ultron attacked and crippled part of Jarvis. The same thing could happen when Vision is brought back to life. Is it worth saving your true love's life if it means unleashing a monster that wants to turn Earth into a smoky pile of ash? It is an incredibly tough choice to make. And luckily, I can say you and I will probably never be in the position to either save our robot true love or let another evil robot take over the world, and thank goodness for that. Sounds hard to come up with the right answer. Like, I could see a situation play out where WandaVision sees Wanda caught in a tough dilemma. She fights hard to save Vision's life, but Ultron just proves to be a much more powerful force, and one robot can't exist without the other. In the end, she is forced to make that impossible choice of wiping out Vision once again to stop Ultron from completely taking over. For those of you counting at home, that would be the third time that Vision bites the dust. But now here's a big thing. Could we actually have Ultron to thank for introducing mutants into the MCU? Well, let's think about it. If Wanda has to go through the heartbreak of losing Vision again in order to stop Ultron, then it might just be the big thing that could send her over the edge. One of Scarlet Witch's most famous storylines is the House of M, where she's strong enough to wipe out all of the mutants on Earth just by saying, "No more mutants." But if the MCU ever adapts that story, it would be a clever twist to have her say something different, and instead of wiping out all the mutants, she creates them in the MCU. Because, let's face it, Marvel is in a bit of a jam in how they want to approach things like mutants and the Fantastic Four. Even though mutants should have been around forever, there's no mention of them, and they can't just show up now and act like they've been there the whole time. Could you imagine if the Avengers were fighting someone like Galactus or something, and all of a sudden the X-Men pop up suddenly ready to help? They would ask where all the mutants were during the big world-ending threats. So we could see a situation where Ultron's resurrection breaks Wanda to the point of no return, and see the powerful Avenger reach her maximum potential in terms of abilities and fundamentally change the entire universe. Ultron's return would be the final nail in the coffin when it comes to Scarlet Witch's sanity, because let's be real for a second. I don't think anyone has suffered more than Scarlet Witch in the MCU. She lost her family thanks to a Stark missile that sent her on a path of revenge. She lost her only remaining family member, Quicksilver, after both of them turned good. She was the cause of the event that kicked off Captain America's Civil War by blowing up Crossbones and hurting a ton of people in the process. And then she was not only tasked with ending the life of the person she loved on her own, but after that was over, it proved pointless and she had to watch Vision be destroyed a second time after Thanos brought him back to life. Like, for real, I don't know how she isn't already a supervillain. I want to turn evil whenever coffee baristas get my order wrong. I'm just saying, if she had a chance to bring Vision back and have a family with him and be happy only to have it ripped away from her thanks to Ultron, yeah, that would be the final straw in her sanity. As mentioned, this movie is supposed to be a good lead-in to Doctor Strange 2: The Multiverse of Madness, and we only have to look at the comics to see how it might play out. If a version of House of M is coming, then you've got to look at stories like Avengers Dissembled, which preceded it and saw some really dark moments involving Scarlet Witch. One important aspect of that is Doctor Strange returning from the dark dimension and being one of the few who doesn't trust Scarlet Witch and thinks she might be brainwashed. This of course turns out to be true, as she's being controlled by Doctor Doom and causes an immense amount of damage to the Avengers team. This is a good foundation that could play out in both WandaVision and Doctor Strange 2 that could lead right into House of M. Because really, turning Scarlet Witch into a new big bad would be a bold and creative choice in deciding where the MCU goes next. The Avengers have faced countless outside threats, but they've never gone up against one of their own. Well, technically they fought in Captain America's Civil War, but that's some light bickering compared to an Avenger turning into an actual villain that they have to defend the world against. Overall, Ultron was a big disappointment, and he didn't leave much of an impact for such a famous comic book villain. To truly give his character the depth it deserves, it would be amazing to see his return in Phase 4 be the instigator to the inner turmoil and conflict within Scarlet Witch. That would finally give his character a purpose and have long-lasting effects throughout the rest of the MCU. We're entering a new era of the MCU where they can undo some of their past mistakes, and starting with Ultron is a great, compelling, and terrifying choice. We hope Ultron returns in Phase 4 because he's a great villain and we're curious as to how it'll affect Scarlet Witch. Do you think Ultron will return? Let us know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to CBR for more awesome MCU content. Thanks for watching.